Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about wise mind skills. When we do this in a larger group, we tend to do a choose your own adventure type thing where there's 4 different skills that we go through, and we kind of pick one that we want to choose, and then we pick that one that we focus on. But today, we're going to go through all 4 of them since we have kind of unlimited time to go through all of these. So I'm going to just briefly describe each one. So wise mind versus emotion mind and reasonable mind, we're going to just talk about the difference between all 3 of those. Initiating relationships, just discussing how to initiate relationships in a good way. Effective communication. So we're going to talk about a great skill for communicating with others. And then distress tolerance skills, which are also very good for crisis response skills. So these are just things that are good in times of crisis, or when you just have a lot going on and need something to kind of help you get through what's going on at the time. So the first thing we're going to talk about is wise mind versus emotion mind and reasonable mind. So reasonable mind is what we kind of think of when we have those thoughts that are like cool, rational, task focused. So it's kind of the part of your mind that you use when you do like math. So when you're in reasonable mind, you're ruled by facts, reason, logic, and pragmatics. So values and feelings are kind of out the window. You're not really thinking about those when you're using reasonable mind. You're just thinking about the facts and how best to use them. So that's why I go to math, because there's not a lot of feelings involved. It's just the cold hard, like 2 + 2 = 4. Emotion mind is kind of the opposite. So it's hot, mood dependent, emotion focused. So it's what we use when, you're having a passionate argument, or when you're really upset about an event that happened in the past. So when in emotion mind, you're ruled by your moods, feelings, and urges to do or say things. So facts, reason, and logic are not important. So math probably wouldn't go under emotion mind. So here's a kind of a visual for all the different types of minds here. So reasonable mind is kind of like the outline of a painting, and then emotion mind is kind of like the colors of a painting, and then wise mind would be like the whole painting together. So you got the outline and the colors together. So talking about wise mind is like the wisdom within each person. It's kind of like our conscience, seeing the value of both reason and emotion. So being able to kind of walk down that middle path between being just facts and reason and being just emotion and passion focused. So it's kind of bringing that left and right brain together, and again, just using that middle path of just staying like right in between both of them. So some ways to practice wise mind. These are different activities that you can do at home and by yourself. So stone flake on a lake. This is going to be just thinking about, it's kind of like a visual imagery type of situation. So it's going to be like imagining that you're on a clear blue lake on a beautiful sunny day, and then imagine you are a small flake of stone, light and flat, and imagine you've been tossed out onto the lake, and you are now gently, slowly floating through the calm, clear blue water to the lake's smooth, sandy bottom. So when you're imagining this, you're going to just notice what you see, what you feel as you float down, perhaps in slow circles, floating toward the bottom. And as you reach the bottom of the lake, you're going to settle your attention there within yourself. So you're going to, again, notice the serenity of the lake, become aware of the calmness and quiet deep within. As you reach the center of yourself, settle your attention there. So another activity would be walking down the spiral stairs. So Again, using your imagination, imagine that within you is a spiral staircase winding down to your very center. So starting at the top, walk very slowly down the staircase, going deeper and deeper within yourself. You're going to notice the sensations. Rest by sitting on a step or turn on lights on the way down if you wish. Do not force yourself further than you want to go. You can notice the quiet. As you reach the center of yourself, settle your attention there, perhaps in your gut or your abdomen. So that's walking down the spiral stairs. So another activity would be breathing wise in and then mind out. So breathing in, just say to yourself wise, and breathing out, say to yourself mind. So you guys can kind of do that to yourself right now if you want to just take a minute. While you're doing that, maybe focus your entire attention on the word wise, then focus it again entirely on the word mind, and continue until you sense that you've settled into wise mind. So the next one is kind of just asking yourself wise mind questions, or asking wise mind itself a question. So you can kind of breathe in and ask ask wise mind itself a question. And then while you're breathing out, kind of listen for an answer. And you're not going to want to give yourself the answer, and don't tell yourself the answer. You're just going to listen for it. So just continue asking on each in-breath for some time. If no answer comes, try again another time. So just asking that inner wise mind that question. You can also ask yourself, is this wise mind? So breathing in, ask yourself, is this particular thing that you're doing wise mind, or is this particular thought or plan you're having wise mind? And when you breathe out, you can listen for an answer. And again, you're not going to want to give yourself the answer. You don't want to tell yourself the answer. You just kind of listen for it. So continue asking on each in-breath, and then if no answer comes, you can try again another time. So another activity, the next one would be attending to your breath coming in and out, and let your attention settle into your center. So when you breathe in completely, notice and follow the sensation of your breath coming in. So let your attention settle into your center at the bottom of your breath, and then let your attention settle in your forehead. And then keep your attention at your center. Exhale, breathing normally, maintaining attention, and then you'll just kind of settle into that wise mind. Another thing that you could do is expand your awareness. So when you breathe in, focus your awareness on your center, and on your breath out, just stay aware of your center, but expand awareness to the space you are in now. So kind of keeping yourself in the present. And then you can continue doing this in the moment. And then the last activity would be dropping into the pauses between inhaling and exhaling. So breathing in, notice the pause after inhaling. And then when you breathe out, notice the pause after exhaling. And at each pause, you just kind of let yourself fall into that space between each pause. So those are kind of some activities to get you to practice that wise mind. So those are those activities for wise mind. And hopefully, if you want to practice each of those, you can kind of rewind it to the one that you enjoyed the most and just listen to how that activity is played out. So the next piece is initiating relationships. So we'll just kind of go in here. So I've heard this saying a lot when people come into my office. By the way, my name is Caitlin Fell. I'm the outreach specialist here at the University of Tulsa. Should have introduced myself sooner, but here we are. So this is something that I hear a lot. So it's the whatever week of college and I haven't made any friends. So here are some things that maybe could be getting in your way. Maybe you don't have some of the interpersonal skills you need, or You don't know exactly what type of friendship or relationship you want, or your emotions are getting in the way. You might be forgetting your long-term goals for short-term goals. There could be other people that may be getting in your way, or also your thoughts or beliefs might be getting in your way as well. So here are some things that you can do. So just remember, first of all, that all human beings are lovable, but finding friends may take effort on your part. So while you may just come into college thinking like, I'm going to have a lot of friends and it's going to be so easy, it may actually take some effort. So one of the things is looking for people who are close by you. So maybe the same class, maybe they live in the same dorms, maybe they attend the same clubs as you. So kind of looking for people within the same space as you. You could also look for people who are similar to you. So oftentimes we make friends with people who share our interests and attitudes. So looking for people within the same like types of interests that we enjoy. And also, it helps to express liking selectively. So we often like the people we think like us. So if you do end up finding an individual that you want to be friends with, like letting them know that, like, hey, I think it'd be cool if we could be friends, or if we ended up doing an activity together. So just expressing that liking, but not doing it to every person, but doing it to people that you think it might be beneficial to have a friendship with. So another thing that could be helpful in initiating relationships is working on your conversation skills. So asking and responding to questions, you could respond with a little more information than requested. You could make small talk. So small talk to everyone is like always very awkward, like how's the weather? Do you have a dog? But making small talk is actually a really good skill to have, and just keeping it in your back pocket for, when you do have to first meet someone, just getting those initial things out in the open, like, what's your favorite color? So just getting all of that out there. So self-disclose skillfully. So self-disclosure is when you tell someone something about yourself that's a little personal. So you're going to want to keep your self-disclosure close to that of what the other person disclosed. So say they disclosed to you that they have 3 brothers and one of them is older than they are. You're going to want to keep your disclosure close to that as like, okay, well, I also have like 2 siblings or something of that nature. If they disclosed that they had 3 siblings, one of them was older than they are, and you disclosed that, 2 of your pets had recently passed away, that could be an over self-disclosure that might make them a little bit upset or make them more likely to kind of push away. So another thing is just not to interrupt the person when you're talking to them. So like wait like a second or so after they stop talking to then talk, because you don't want to interrupt them if they've just taken a breath to continue talking. And also learn things to talk about. So if you've met the person, a couple things that they're interested in, and you want to get more interested in what they are interested in, then look up, like, say they're interested in comic books, or they're interested in like a specific movie, and you know that you would enjoy these things, but you just don't know a lot about them. Maybe learning those things to then talk about those things more with the person can help amp up those conversation skills. So here is one thing. I know that groups are a big thing in college, especially at like parties and everything. And this is just a good way to tell the difference between kind of what does an open group look like versus what does a closed group look like. So an open group looks more like, so everyone is standing somewhat apart. Members are occasionally glancing around the room. There are gaps in the conversation. and members are talking about a topic of general interest. So that would be a group that the people are like open to other people joining their group, and people are going to be more open to the group not being just those people that are already involved. However, a closed group looks more like everyone's standing close together. Members are kind of looking and talking to exclusively each other. There's a very animated conversation and not a few gaps. With just a few gaps, sorry. And then members seem to be pairing off. So think like when you think of closed groups, like a really good example would be like, after summer break or something, when there's a party and there's like a group of really good friends who are catching up and they're just like really excited to see each other again. And they're talking about their summer breaks and like how, like what they do over the summer, how's your family? And they are like so close together that you don't really want to interrupt that. So that's going to be the difference between an open group and a closed group. And it's kind of good to know that difference, because if you want to go to a party to kind of get into a social group, kind of going into that closed group is going to be a little bit awkward, because the people might not want anyone else in the closed group, but the open group might be more accepting of new people. All right, so moving on to effective communication. So the technique that I'm going to talk about is the Dear Man technique. So I'm going to run through each letter. So the first letter is describe. I see that right there. So the first thing we're going to do with an individual is describe the situation in a simple way. So just state only the facts in your description. At this point, you're not like expressing your feelings or asking for anything. You're setting up for the conversation using facts. So this communication technique can work for a lot of different things. This can work for roommates having a conversation about, when to turn the lights off. This can be the conversation. This can work for partners having a conversation about something more that has more leverage to it. This can be a communication technique for people who are in an argument. This could also just be a communication technique if you're asking someone and you want them to buy you something. So really, this can be a communication technique for any of those situations. So once you've described the situation, going with like the simplest one, say you really would like your parents to buy you a new laptop for school. So you can just state the situation in a simple way. So stating the facts like, I don't have a laptop for school. A lot of my classes are online. It's difficult to get to the library at the hours that they're open. Not all the computers at the library work really well. Just stating those facts, not putting any emotion into the facts. So the next one is express. So you're going to express how you're feeling using I statements. So an I statement means that you're taking accountability and prevents the other person from going into defense mode. So in the example that I just gave, where you're asking your parents for a laptop for school, an I statement that you could use would be like, I know that I should have saved up money for this, but it would be helpful to have a laptop for school. Or an I statement could be, another I statement could be like, I am feeling drained from having to go to the library all the time. Or I need more resources than I can use that the school has to offer. So just some I statement that you're not putting the person on the defense. Like an I statement that isn't particularly an I statement is like, I feel that you, because once you put you into the situation, you're telling them how they feel or telling them how they've made you feel, and that's you're going to put them on the defensive. So the next part is to assert. So by either asking for your need or saying no firmly, you're going to assert your needs. Means that you're asking for what you want in a clear, strong way. So you're not going to like beat around the bush, and you're not going to allude to what you want. So then in the example that I gave, you would want to ask, I would just come out and say, I would like a laptop for college, for my college work. So then reinforce. You're going to reinforce by making sure that the other person knows why they should grant you your request. So this would be when, in that example I gave, you could say, as I mentioned earlier, it's really difficult to use the computers in the library because they don't have all of the resources that I need. They don't work all the time. The hours of the library aren't consistent with when I particularly need to work on a laptop or on a computer, and it would just be really helpful to have a laptop of my own. So the next part is stay mindful. So you're going to try not to become distracted by things going on around you. Instead, you're going to do your best to stay focused on the conversation. So if the person you're talking to is acting defensive, try to keep the conversation on course. So at this point, you're just going to stay mindful of what's going on in the conversation. And then appear confident. So regardless of how you feel on the inside, present yourself as though you feel confident. So do this by keeping your head up, standing or sitting up straight, making direct eye contact, and speaking loudly and clearly. So I know, especially when speaking with parents or speaking with people who maybe like have higher rank than you, appearing confident can be difficult, but just ensuring that you kind of have that, keeping your head up, standing or sitting up straight, making direct eye contact, and speaking loudly and clearly, like doing those things are going to make you appear confident even when you don't feel that way. And then negotiate. So remember, you're not demanding anything, you're asking for something. So if the person you're speaking with isn't on board with your request, remember the phrase give to get. So you might need to alter your request to make it more appealing to the other person. So in the situation that I gave, a way that I would negotiate. So if they say, well, like we can't just buy you a whole laptop, but maybe we could go in half with you, like we could pay for half, you could pay for half, and then that would be helpful for you. And then that might be a helpful negotiation in that state. So negotiating to get what you need. So this next piece is, I think, one of the most important things, especially when there's just a lot of high distress going on, or if there's a crisis going on. These are just some skills that are going to be helpful to go through and have with you in your back pocket when there's anything like this going on. So this is an acronym. So the first letter of each word spells stop, but also the first word of stop is stop. So this is just kind of like, if there's anything going on and you feel overwhelmed or like you're going to act and do something irrational before you have the time to like think about what's going on, like this is what you need to do. So the first thing you're going to do is stop. Don't just react. Stop, freeze, don't move a muscle. Your emotions may try to make you act without thinking, so stay in control. So then you're going to take a step back and take a step back from the whole situation. Take a break, let go, take a deep breath. Don't let your feelings make you act impulsively. So this could be even like stepping away from the whole situation, like leaving the room, leaving a conversation, leaving a social media platform, leaving a text message conversation, like anything that's about to make you act impulsively. Leave that for a minute just so you can do the next step, which is to then observe. So notice what is going on inside and outside you. What's the situation? What are your thoughts and feelings? What are other people saying or doing? So then the next piece It's going to be proceed mindfully and effectively, because you want to act with awareness. So when you decide what to do, consider your thoughts and feelings, the situation, and other people's thoughts and feelings, and think about your goals. So once you take a step back, you're going to observe and proceed mindfully, because at that take a step back step, like that's when you could act impulsively, and that's when you need to take that step back so you can do those next two steps. So another tip is this next acronym. So TIP, except it's got two P's because you can do either or. To reduce extreme emotion mind fast. So we talked about emotion mind in the first segment of this, where emotion mind can just have you in this place where all you're thinking with is your emotions, and you could do something irrational. You could act in a way that you might regret later. So these are tips to reduce that extreme emotion mind quickly. So you can tip the temperature of your face with cold water to calm down fast. And by tip the temperature of your face, it just means cool your face down. Because once you cool your face down, it tends to cool your entire body kind of down really fast. So doing that, you can just kind of splash your face with cold water. You can put your face under some cold water for a couple minutes. You could get a bowl of cold water and put your face in it for like 30 seconds or so, and that should kind of calm you down pretty quickly. If you are someone who, like, intense exercise helps to calm your body down, that could be a way to kind of get a lot of that emotion out. If intense exercise is something that kind of triggers you into doing other things that aren't going to be helpful, or triggers you into doing some unhelpful eating or something like that, then maybe intense exercise isn't the best way to go, but that is an option. So the next one, there's paced breathing. So you can pace your breathing by slowing it down. There is one breathing exercise that you can do, which is 3 breaths in through your mouth, and then hold your breath for 4 seconds, and then breathe out through your nose for 7 seconds. And once you do that like 2 or 3 times, that should kind of slow your breathing down and calm you down a little bit. And you can also do paired muscle relaxation to calm down you can pair muscle relaxation with breathing out. And paired muscle relaxation is just when you kind of start at the top of your head and notice like how kind of tense your muscles are in your head, and you can even tense them up a little bit more, and then release it as you breathe out, and then go to like your shoulders and kind of tense up your shoulder muscles. And then when you breathe out, release that tension, and then continue on down to like your hand muscles, and like you can tense up your hand muscles and then release it when you breathe out, all the way down to your like feet, and just continue doing that until you've calmed down. So another one that is really good to talk about is, so wise mind accepts. So wise mind, again, is that mind that kind of right in the middle of emotion mind and reasonable mind. So this is just a lot of activities that kind of avert a crisis through distraction. So keeping you distracted to kind of keep your mind off of what's going on in a crisis just long enough to kind of allow you to make a better decision about the crisis. So you can distract yourself through different activities. You can distract yourself through contributing to like volunteering, helping a friend, helping a family member. Comparisons is a difficult one. The example that they give in the DBT curriculum is that you try and compare yourself to those less fortunate. However, we don't really like how that sounds, and so we can compare ourselves to like our past selves and how far we've come. And then there's also emotions. So say you're feeling like really upset or really like sad. You could watch a happy movie or watch a comedy. Or if you're feeling really if you're feeling really angry, you could try and watch like a calming video on YouTube to kind of switch the emotions. So it's like opposite emotions of what you're feeling. Pushing away is going to be really helpful if you have like a test or something coming up and you have a crisis that's come up and you're like, okay, I really have this test that's coming up that I need to focus for, but this is also distracting. So pushing the crisis away into maybe like a box in the back of your mind for just as long as it takes to maybe get through the test, and then pulling out what's going on so that way you can deal with it afterwards. Thoughts. So thoughts is like giving yourself affirmative thoughts. So like saying everything's going to be okay. You've got this. Things are going to get better. Just giving yourself affirmative thoughts and repeating them. Sensations. So this could be like using an oil diffuser. This could be like playing with a stress ball, cuddling a pet, any type of sensation that's going to distract you from what's going on. So that could be like eating a really good meal, or like smelling like baked goods or something like that. So any type of sensation that's going to just distract you through what's going on. So that's kind of Wise Mind Accepts, and that's all the crisis skills right there. I'll keep this up for a minute. So this is a PDF version of the full PowerPoint. So you can kind of point your camera from your phone at the QR code, and it should kind of download the whole PowerPoint to your phone. If you have any questions about this PowerPoint, or if you need any more like crisis skills, or if you need any other type of resources, please reach out and let us know. The Counseling Center, my email is kaf864@utulsa.edu. And again, my name is Caitlin Fell, and I'm the Outreach Specialist at the University of Tulsa. So thank you, and have a great day.